Hello everyone and welcome back to Muay Thai Interviews. My next guest, he is the current Scottish 57 kilogram champion. He trains and he is also a trainer at Aberdeen Combat Centre. He's lived in Thailand for a few years, which is where I first met him back in 2013, and we've been mates ever since. I'm joined by Pete Scott from Scotland. How are you, mate?
Yeah, very good, thanks. How are you?
Good, man. It's a good name, Pete Scott from Scotland, eh?
Yeah, sure is.
Now, dude, you're coming off a nice little victory, and you got some shiny new bling to add to the mantelpiece. Do you want to tell us about that?
Yeah, last month, the 1st of June, I fought against Andy Docherty, who was number one in Scotland at 57 kilograms. I fought him for the UKMF 57 kilogram Scottish title. We fought at the my club's home show, which is run by Keith Middleton. I fought him on that show and I won on points, won the belt. Yeah, it was good.
Yeah, nice. I watched one of your other fights. I'm not sure if it was the one just before that or was your very first one that you had back in Scotland. You pretty much demolished the guy in the clinch. You looked more like a kickboxer than a Muay Thai fighter. He was just bouncing all over the place.
This year, was it?
Yep, this year.
Yes, I went back to Scotland. I had three fights. I fought the number two.
That's who it could have been the first one.
Ranked, yeah, I think it would have been the guy. I fought Rob Morrison, who was ranked number two at 59 kilograms. Fought him. He had a really awkward style.
That's the guy I'm talking about.
He was kind of the way. Like, I spoke to him after the fight, and he said that he was, I don't know if he was wary of me smashing his legs or something, but he was coming in and out a lot, and it was really, to be fair to him, it was really difficult to hit. Like, I'd watched some of his previous fights and that, and he'd been stopped a couple of times, so I kind of thought it might be quite an easy fight, but he'd from the fights I'd watched, he actually came on a lot since then, and he was really awkward style, so it was quite difficult to fight against. I ended up beating him in points.
Yeah, because that's what I noticed. Someone put the video up and I had a look, and he had a real awkward style, but he had really good punches, and he had some really good combos that he'd hit you with, but he beat you in the hands department, but you hands down beat him in the clinching. Yeah,
he would come in with I actually told him this after the fight as well. He would come in with like a maybe 2-3 punch boxing combination and finish it off on elbow, and to be fair to him, he was really good at that, coming in. He actually ended up cutting me. I think it was in the last round I got cut, or the 4th or 5th round I got just a little cut. As usual, I get cut a lot of times in my thing, but yeah, he actually cut me with one of his elbows. It wasn't bad, but just a little nick. But yeah, he was awkward to fight. It was a good fight against him though. Yeah, no,
it was good to watch. And so I thought I might ask, which is the one question I ask everyone: how did you get into Muay Thai?
How I first got into Muay Thai, it was actually my friend who I currently still train with, Keith Middleton. He'd been doing Muay Thai for a while, and I went to watch one of his fights, and I remember when I first watched it, I was thinking, these guys must be crazy, going in, not so much the fighting part, but just like going in the ring, fighting in front of so much people, it's like seemed like such a big deal to me at that point.
Yeah.
And I'd always played football, and I'd always considered myself fit, and then I stopped playing football through like injuries and stuff like that. I suppose just get bored of it eventually maybe, and I was drinking quite a lot, so I thought if I keep this up I'll get fat and unfit, so can't be having that. And I spoke to Keith and he says, look, you should come along to training. And at first, it was just like, right, okay, I'll come along, but that was it. It was just going along just for the training. And then I went along, started training, and there was a few guys at the gym who'd already fought quite a few times, and guys who'd been over to Thailand. Keith Middleton himself, he'd been over to Thailand and trained in that and had quite a few fights. Jamie McRae, who'd also spent a year or so living out in Thailand, so there was guys there that was really good experience. I was sparring them, I was sparring with some of the other fighters, and I was thinking, like, I actually seemed not too bad against these guys. So, and they were saying the same to me. They were saying, you need to fight, and then eventually it was like, okay, I'll have one and see how it goes. And then I fought once, won by knockout, and then I was fought again, won by knockout. I think the first 4 fights I won by knockout, and then I was like, okay, I might be alright at this, and then I suppose kind of get hooked, you know, same as everyone.
So were you like in your late teens when you found Muay Thai?
No, I was actually older than that. I was, I think I was 24, 25. I suppose quite late.
And was Aberdeen Combat Centre, was that the first gym that you trained at in Scotland?
No, when I first started Muay Thai, like I said, when I went to train with Keith and Jamie and that, it was Aberdeen Muay Thai. That was the only Muay Thai gym in, well, I think there was a couple, but Aberdeen Muay Thai was like the main Muay Thai gym, you know, like says, there was guys there who'd been to Thailand and that, so, and plus obviously Keith was a friend, so I went to train with him. So we trained there to start with, and then I always trained there, and then my friend Chris Farman, he opened up Aberdeen Combat Centre. He used to be my friend since school, so when he opened Aberdeen Combat Centre, I would go and train there as well, but you know, I never left Aberdeen Muay Thai because that was the gym I trained. I had no reason to leave, sort of thing.
Yeah.
And then I ended up leaving and going to Thailand for a few years, and then it wasn't until I came back that I started going to ACC full time. So I started working there, and it was a better, the better fighters and that were there, so it made more sense to go there.
Yeah, nice. And I believe your mother does not like watching you fight. Has she ever been to any of your fights at all? And why does she hate it so much?
Yeah, no, she's never came to any of my fights. She just doesn't like. I suppose she just doesn't like seeing her son get hit. I mean, even fights that I've won, you know, videos that are on YouTube, she still won't watch them back. And then if I say to her, you know, I'm like, look, I didn't get hurt, and she's like, yeah, but the other guy, he got hurt. So I think it's just in general, you know, she's not a violent person, doesn't like fights, which is, you know, I can understand that. And after me now having a son of my own, I think, you know, if he was going to fight, you know, I think I would be really, really nervous watching him fight.
Yeah.
I'm bad enough watching my friends, you know, if any of my friends are fighting, I'm nervous.
Yeah.
I don't get nervous when I fight myself, but watching my friends, I would get really nervous. So I suppose a mum watching her son fight, and I can kind of understand that.
I think it's like also because it's when you're watching someone else, it's out of your hands. There's nothing you can do about it.
Exactly, that's it exactly.
But she seems to, as much as she hates watching you fight, she's still obviously supportive in what you do.
Yeah, I mean, I've always gotten brilliant with my mum, you know, I love my mum to bits. I could tell her anything. Anytime I've got into trouble throughout my life or done something stupid, you know, she's always been supportive of me. Obviously she'll give me a telling off and that, but yeah, she's always been brilliant. So like, she knows that I know she doesn't like it, but she knows because I love it, she would never ask me to not do it. But I know for a fact once the day comes when I do tell her that I've retired and not fighting again, she'll be really happy, that's for sure.
That's as long as that you do stay retired.
Yeah.
Don't retire yet, Pete, okay? Still got a few good years left in you, mate.
Yeah, maybe.
Now, you're a welder by trade, and at one point you had a pretty sweet gig. You were working on the oil rigs doing 3 weeks on, 3 week off roster. And during your time off, you would go travelling around Thailand training and fighting. Can you tell us a bit about that, being a FIFO worker or an ex-FIFO worker?
It was. I'm working on I think if you ask anyone who works on oil rigs, you know, the money's really good and the time off's good, but when you're there, it's crap. It's rubbish, you know.
Yep.
Especially for me, you know, when my life is pretty much just training and even going for runs, you know, just having the freedom of doing what you want. But when you're on that rig, you know, you're stuck in the middle of the ocean, and you can't. The only freedom you've got is at night time to go up to the gym, but you know, you can't go outside, you can't do anything, and I don't know, I just got fed up with that, I suppose. But yeah, I was happy enough with the time off and the rotation. So like you says, I was going back and forth to Thailand. Some trips off, I would go and fight. I would train a couple of weeks, and then I would have a fight, and then I would go back to work, and I would go back to work all bashed up and sore. You know, all the other guys they've had 3 weeks off just drinking and relaxing. I'd been out in Thailand training and having a fight. I'd go back needing a break when I went back to work.
Yeah.
All the other guys are just relaxing at home, so it was quite tough as well. And then I met my now wife. I met her, and you know, I would go out and I would train, I would see her, and then I would go back to work, and it was just, I don't know, I kind of get, I'd went travelling, like when I first met you in 2013. I've been in Thailand a year. I was kind of travelling, and I suppose once you kind of go travelling, I think you maybe get itchy feet doing something, you know. So when I was working offshore, I'd been doing that for a year and a half, and then I thought, I could saved a good bit of money, so I might just quit my job and go out to Thailand and see how I got on.
Yeah.
And then I moved out to Thailand for a few years.
Yeah, because that's what I was going to say. When I first met you, would have been back around November 2013-ish. We were both training at KC Muay Thai in Chiang Mai.
Yeah.
And after travelling and training at quite a few gyms in Thailand, what made you decide to settle in Chiang Mai?
I don't know. There was something about Chiang Mai as a city that I kind of fell in love with. You know, I'd been a lot of different places in Thailand, and every city's got its own appeal to it. But like down south, for example, the beaches not are brilliant, but I always felt like it was you were more on holiday there. You know.
Yeah.
I'd spent quite a bit in Pattaya because my friend had a bar there.
I was gonna say, just to cut you off there.
Yeah.
But there have been videos of you and your mates circulating that you guys give like a week notice. You say, right, next Friday it's me versus so and so, and you'll be full of piss, going up on the ring, just boxing each other, no kicks, no elbows, and that was quite good to watch, good for a laugh.
Yeah, Pattaya was always crazy. You know, the thing about Pattaya is there's so much brilliant Muay Thai gyms. You know, some of the best gyms in Thailand are in Pattaya. But for me, because I've got a friend that owns a bar there, my mate Kev Marcella, he just constantly would phone me every single night. Even the times that I was there and I was going to train, I would train at Sit Yod Tong when I was in Pattaya, which is a brilliant gym. Really liked it, but I couldn't stay off the alcohol, so I would end up drinking till like 4 a.m. Then some of my friends would come. I remember one morning my friend Andrew Rose, he was picking him up in the morning to go training, and I'd been out drinking. I think I got home at like 4 or 5 in the morning. He picked him up about 7, 8 o'clock to go training. Went and trained, and you know, it was just a shambles. And you just, I don't know, you can't really do it. You just feel like the Thais are thinking this guy's crap, you know. And if you want people to take you serious, you need to do it properly. So that was my idea. I was kind of right. Got to Chiang Mai, I can kind of relax up there. Had not so much friends that drank too much up here. You know, everyone in Chiang Mai was just
apart from me.
Yeah, far from yourself, but I could control you more. You know, I would manage to. You would let me train until after I fought, and then I would get on the drink with you.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember. Remember you had a motorbike accident, and you had your arm in a sling, and you pretty much had only use of one arm. I forget whether it was your left or your right, but even then you would still rock up to the gym just punching a bag with one arm and the other arm in the sling, and I thought, geez, that's commitment, because I would have just taken my money and pissed off.
Yeah, well, I think that I remember the exact time you're meaning. Speaking about Pattaya, I think I just spent like a 3-month trip in Pattaya, so I've been drinking and misbehaving for 3 months, and then moved up to Chiang Mai and was like, right, that's it, back on the training, get some fights in, and then I think I've been 2 or 3 weeks into training, fit, almost ready to fight, and then I was driving my motorbike and some guy just ran off the road. I was overtaking him on the right side, and he just pulled out, didn't even look, came off the bikes, didn't have on a helmet, banged my head off the road, but luckily my shoulder hit the ground first, which took the main impact, and I needed 10 staples in my head, and I think I ripped all the ligaments or muscles in my shoulder. I was in a sling for about a good few weeks anyway, but I went up to the gym, and you know, I love watching people train. You know, I can sit and watch good fighters, you know, good fighters hitting pads, and I could watch that all day. People ties clinching and that. So I would go to the gym, and you know, a couple of times I would. I think the day after the accident, I put on a boxing glove on my good hand and took a photo hitting a bag, but I wasn't really hitting the bag. I just kind of done it for the photo. But I would still go to the gym every day and just watch the guys train. But it would just kind of torment me. You know, I'd be watching it thinking, wish this should have been me. I should be training. But I got through that, and then I got back to training eventually, like everything. You know, passed. Because
they had some quite good fighters and clinchers back then at KC in 2013-14. You had like Ziui, and then I think what they call him, Coke, I think his name was.
The guy
small Channel 7 and Sack and all them. Pin Pet, that's it, yeah.
Yeah, there was Sack who fights under the name Wi-Fi.
Wi-Fi.
Yeah, there was a guy Mong who.
That's right.
Fighting him again, I can't remember. But yeah, there was a good 7, 8 or 9 Thais who were fighting at a high level, and they were all round about my weight. So I think that's where my clinch came on a lot. Like I think I'm quite good in the clinch. So being in Thailand, that's definitely helped my clinching anyway. But yeah, clinching with all that guys was brilliant. A lot of times you get thrown around like a rag doll. Most of the time you would. They're competing on, like you said, Channel 7 shows the biggest fights in Thailand, so there's no shame in getting thrown around from them. It's equivalent to playing football with you're the best football players in the world, so you can take getting thrown around from them, no problem.
Oh, it's an absolute privilege.
Yeah, exactly. It's a privilege and an honour until you're sore.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Sorry about that. I've seen you fight quite a few times in Thailand, and I've seen you being robbed a couple of times as well, where the gamblers have even come up to me and told me that you won, even though they took my money, the bastards. Does that stuff affect you? Because that would piss me off, like knowing that you clearly won, and that they gave the decision to the other guy purely for the gamblers.
Yeah. I mean, to start with, when I remember I came out to Thailand and I was doing well. I'd won quite a lot in Thailand. I was on a good roll, and then I fought for a stadium title, and I fought a guy called Pet Dubbed him, who was from Sichaiden gym up in Mae Hong Son, the same gym that Bin Pet from Channel 7 fought out of, and I fought him for the title, and he beat me on points, but there was no arguments from me there. He did beat me fair and square. I cut him with an elbow, but he definitely beat me. So that was my first loss, and I wasn't really bothered on that because it was kind of fair. But then my next loss, I won a couple more after that, and then I remember I fought a guy in the same stadium, Tapi Stadium in Chiang Mai, and he didn't even do nothing to me. He was just like basically running away from me. Hardly even threw any kicks.
Was that the fight that I saw you?
I'm not sure. This guy who was fighting, his name was Lak Pet.
So it's not the trainer from...
No, it wasn't the old trainer champion guy. It was the couple before that.
Yeah.
I fought him, and it was like I caught his kick, put him down, landed quite a few kicks. Like I said, I think maybe he landed one kick the whole fight, and then the fight was over, and I was kind of happy. I was like, oh, it was an easy fight of nothing sore at all. If that was like every fight, you could fight every week, no problem. Same as some of the Thais do it. And then the ref went over to the judge to pick up each scorecard like he does, and I'm just standing there, and he went over and lifted the guy's hand up, and I just remember looking, thinking, what? And like I seen everyone kind of looking confused, and then that one I was really annoyed. Even till now it annoys me. And after that it happened a couple more times, and then I suppose more times it happens, the more you kind of just accept it, and then you kind of think, okay, it's just the way it is. It's gambling and crap like that. So I suppose it doesn't really bother me now. Like I say, to start with, the first couple, it really bothered me because I used to think, right, okay, I've only had 1 or 2 losses. It looks good on my record, blah blah blah. But then once you get a few more, it's like, well, okay, it doesn't really matter how much loss I've got now. If they're going to do that to me, it's if you're losing on points against a Thai in Thailand, what can you do?
Yeah.
There was one I fought for a title again, against the same guy who you were on around. I fought this guy twice, the guy Ekasit, old guy. You were there the first time I fought him.
Yeah. When
I completely battered him, he was cut on both sides of his face, black and blue, and they gave it to him. My friend was there gambling on me. He put like 10,000 baht on me to win, and obviously I think that's obviously why they gave it to him. Plus he was like I think he was living at the stadium as well, was he?
Yeah, I believe so.
He was living at that stadium. He was the stadium champion. So
Yeah, because a week after that fight, I remember I sent you a message. I went up to Tapo and I ended up having a few beers with him.
Yeah.
And he's just like lifting up his shirt, showing me like his ribs are all bruised. And
you sent me the photograph. It's correct.
Yeah, that's nuts, man. Like that sort of stuff would do my head in. Particularly even like after the fight when like even the gamblers actually like, yeah, no, your mate did win.
Yeah, like I've said that a lot of times, but to me, like the way I look at it now is like, you know, like after a fight, win or lose, as long as people are saying to me, you fought good, you know, they're like, oh, this guy's, I think that meant more to me in Thailand, you know, like having people, because obviously you get people that come over to Thailand and they've maybe only trained 2, 3, 4 weeks, and then they'll have a fight, and you know, the Thai, you see it in the gyms in Thailand, the trainers will see like a white guy, a farang, you know, a white guy coming in, and you see it on their face, they're thinking, right, is this guy just going to be a guy coming in who's got to be a nightmare to teach or what? And then, you know, when you go in and they see that you know what you're doing and you're hitting, you see the face on the Thais, they love it, you know, they love people coming over and learning their sport and becoming sort of good at it, so, and, you know, knowing all the culture and respect and that, and even speaking them in Thai, you know, they love all that, so I think, to me, them turning around and saying he knows what he's doing, that's more important to me than some judge saying that I've lost when, you know, when I don't think I have, or half the stadium doesn't think I have.
Yeah, definitely. And you've had around 25 fights now, give or take a couple. More than half of them have been in Thailand, and the rest back in the UK. From your own experiences, what are some differences you've noticed when fighting abroad as to fighting back home?
Fighting in Thailand as opposed to back home, it would have to be, you know, in Thailand it's like it's not a big deal, you know, when from the moment you say you'll fight, you know, you can be in the gym and they say, oh, you want to fight tomorrow, or sometimes they'll just say you fight tomorrow, they'll tell you you're fighting, and you know, you'll go down, you don't know who you're fighting, you'll rock up to the stadium, you're looking around trying to see a Thai who's kind of round about your weight, you don't know, sometimes you don't know nothing about him, or most of the time you don't know nothing about them, and then you just get in the ring and you fight, and that's it, you know, it's you go to the gym after it, they're expecting you training in the next day or a couple of days after, so excuse me, and yeah, it's not a big deal. Whereas in the UK, you know, it's like you fight, you know, 3 months in advance of your fight, and there's posters, there's a lot of talk and gambling on Facebook, and, you know, it's just more of a big deal back home. Apart from that, in the fight itself, fighting in Thailand, you know, the whole Thai style thing, it's more relaxed. You can go into like, I've been in a fight in Thailand, nowhere near fight fit, you know, I haven't trained in months, and then I trained for like a week, drinking like the week before, done it a couple of times actually, and then I went in and fought like 5 rounds, you know, like back in the UK, I wouldn't do that, you know, if I'm fighting in the UK, I would make sure that I trained 4, 5, 6 weeks, so I'm really fit, you know, guys in the UK, they'll come out flying from round 1, Thailand, you a lot of time you think you'll maybe get, you know, round 1 or 2 relaxed, sometimes you only fight round 3 and 4, well the Thais anyway, you know, they'll fight hard 3 and 4, and then they'll dance in the 5th, 1 or 2, they'll touchy feely. So yeah, there's a few differences in that, but if you're fighting a good opponent back home, then it can be just as good as a top fight in Thailand.
Do you have a preference whether you like fighting in Thailand or fighting back home, or you don't care?
I think for me, I do love fighting the Thais. You know, and there's something, you know, being in Thailand, fighting in Thailand. There's a certain romance about being here. You know, the home of Muay Thai fighting here. So I'd probably say I'd rather fight in Thailand.
And how do you think the fight circuit in Chiang Mai fares to the rest of Thailand for people wanting to come over and get experience and take their fighting seriously?
I think in general, you know, I think that most people know, like if you come up to Chiang Mai, you know, if you want to live as like a Muay Thai fighter in Thailand, I mean, I wouldn't probably recommend coming to Chiang Mai, because the money, you know, you don't get paid good money for fighting in Chiang Mai. Not that you do all over Thailand. Some places you'll get better money anyway, but like for down south, you know, you'll maybe get like 10,000 a fight, whereas in Chiang Mai you'll get like 3,000. You know, so that's like less than a third as much.
Yeah.
As far as opponents go in that, you know, you get, like I've said, I've had some of my hardest fights have been up in Chiang Mai. I've had a few really, really hard fights up here. So I think it depends on your opponent and you know, the promoter at the stadium and the gym that you're training at. You know, sometimes you'll see people come here again, like I've said, they've only trained a few weeks and they go and fight, and you know, they get like a nobody, you know, like a tuk-tuk drive, as opposed to people say.
Yeah.
And you know, the Thai will take a dive in round 1 or 2, and You know, that can happen quite a lot. It can happen all over Thailand as well.
Yeah,
But
definitely.
in Thailand, in Chiang Mai, I think it's in general more common is like beginners kind of winning a lot up here. You know, I think if you were living here full time wanting to fight, you would have to kind of go down south to kind of make a name for yourself more.
Yeah, definitely. And one thing I'm keen to hear is I want to get your advice on how you manage training and fighting while holding down a full-time job in Chiang Mai, and also you were raising your new young family.
Yeah. So after I quit my job in oil rigs, I went. I moved out to Thailand to stay for good, and well, not for good, but ended up being a few years, and I was just training. You know, it wasn't. I mean, I was training and fighting, but it was more like you know, it wasn't like my sole income because I'd had a lot of money saved up.
Yeah.
I was just fighting when I wanted to fight, and then my wife, she got pregnant, and a guy who I'd met in Chiang Mai, he had his own visa company, and when I told him my wife was pregnant, we met Reese Bonney, who I'm actually good friends with, still speak to all the time, and he said to me, "What's the plan now that your wife's pregnant?" And he offered my job at his visa company. So from being like a Muay Thai fighter out here, then going to work in a visa company, it was a bit of a difference.
Yeah.
But I worked there for like a year and a half, and I fought a couple of times when I worked there. Luckily, Reese, he was a big Muay Thai fan, so he came to a couple of my fights. And as I spoke about earlier, he actually gambled on me winning a couple of times, and both times I lost on points when I thought I won.
Yeah.
One of them was the one you were at against the trainer guy. Trying to train and fight Muay Thai when you've got a full time job it's difficult, but you know, so much people do it. It was difficult with my son Pao being born, and then you know, I'd wake up in the morning at 5 o'clock. I'd go for a run, come back, shower, have breakfast, go work for 8 hours, then I would go train. When I went to the gym, sometimes like by the time I finished work, all the guys had finished training, so I would just go hit the bag myself. Then I would go home and spend time with my son, and then do that all week.
Yeah.
I had a couple of fights doing it like that, but you know, it was tough going. I got a few bad cuts doing it like that, some injuries and that, and then I
So what you're saying is you were pretty self-motivated, because if you weren't self-motivated at the time, then it may not have all been worth it.
Yeah, I mean, you've definitely got to be you've got to motivate yourself. Otherwise, you would just end up staying at home and drinking and not end up training.
And just going back a little bit, you said, and shout out to your mate Reese, your ex-boss Reese.
Yeah.
If he hadn't have come in with this job opportunity at the time, what do you reckon you would have done back then? Hypothetically speaking.
If I didn't get a job in Thailand, then I suppose like I don't think I would have stayed in Thailand as in just purely fighting Muay Thai, you know, using it as a sole income, because it wouldn't have been enough to raise a newborn baby anyway.
Yeah.
So I would have had to go back to Scotland. I would have probably tried to go back to oil rigs to start with if I could have. If not, then I don't know, I would have had to go back and get some kind of job and I suppose cross that bridge when it came to it.
Yeah, it seems to work out.
It worked out good for me. You know, I think in life you kind of got to take chances and you know hope things work out. And fortunately, most of the stuff I've done in the last few years, I've done a few kind of big changes. They've all kind of worked out good for me. So yeah, I'm happy for that.
Yeah, nice, pal, nice. And last year you left Chiang Mai to go to Krabi to train and fight. What was the decision to leave Chiang Mai, and how did that go?
Yeah, well, like I've just said, I was working at the company's called Assist High Visa. It was a visa company in Chiang Mai. I was working there, and I was still training and fighting, and it was difficult. And I think the job just kind of, you know, it wasn't for me. I've never worked in an office, and in there I was in a kind of like dress trousers and shirt, you know, dealing with customers. It was a good experience and that, but it's just it wasn't me. And then I got sick of it, and luckily an Italian guy who had trained with Chiang Mai, he just left Chiang Mai to go down to Krabi to a gym called Bull Muay Thai, which was owned by an Italian guy called Muay, and he started messaging me on Facebook and asked me to go down and be a fighter for him. And I basically says to him, look, I would do that in a minute if I didn't have my wife and my son. And then he said, look, take them down as well. It's not a problem. So he offered me to go down there, you know, stay in the resort, which was a really nice gym resort and that to stay on. You know, most times if you're a sponsored fighter in Thailand, you'll share a room with the other sponsored fighters on a not even a mattress, you know, something's just like a pad on the floor.
Yeah.
And that's how you'll live. So like to go down there and get your own, it was like bamboo bungalows. So to get them, you know, it was like it was a resort, you know, people went and stayed there on a holiday. So to get to go down and live on there for free and train and fight, you know, it was a dream come true for me. I had to twist my wife's arm though, you know. I suppose I had a decent job in Chiang Mai. We were renting a nice house. Everyone was kind of sweet, so it was I had to kind of twist her arm to come down to Krabi. But yeah, we went down and trained at Bull Muay Thai, fought for them, met some amazing people down there. It was a really good gym. Would definitely recommend people to go train at Bull. Met some like I say, some good fighters there. They've still got some good fighters there. They've got Enzo, the French guy who's fighting on Max Muay Thai all the time. He fought
just last Sunday, I believe.
Yeah, he won knockout round 1.
Yesterday.
He's on fire just now. Mike Long, my mate from England. He's also there. He fights on Max regular as well. He's doing really good as well. A lot of other guys to mention. Borca from Spain, the Spanish champ. He's just left Bull, but he was there when I was there the whole time. He's a good fighter. Yeah, it looks all that guys. You know, it was the people there was kind of made it. The guys I was training with. So yeah, I had a few fights for them.
What was the? Remember we were talking before, and you told us for Bull, you had, what was it, 3 fights in 5 weeks, and you got a bit of a nasty infection.
Yeah. So I went down to Bull. Again, I actually drove from Chiang Mai down to Krabi. I stopped a few places on the way, drinking quite a lot again. arrived at Bull. I remember I arrived there on the Saturday night, and I'd been drinking whiskey the night before, and I'd just finished eating. Like, we stopped to eat on the way to Krabi. It was like half an hour out of Krabi, and was like, right, we'll stop here and eat. Gets into Krabi, and I remember it goes into Bull Muay Thai in the resort, and I seen Maori. He was there, and I went over, introduced myself, spoke to him, and he was like, right, get your shorts on, come train. And I was thinking, oh, what? I've just ate. I'm feeling full. I'm hungover. So I was like, okay. So I chucked on my stuff, went and hit pads. I felt ridiculous, but you know, he thought it was all right, and that was on Saturday, and then he was like, right, okay, training starts on Monday. So I was like, okay. So then I trained the Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and I just finished my Thursday afternoon run, and then he turned around and says, okay, they're wanting you to fight tomorrow at Bangla Stadium in Phuket. So I was like, yeah, okay, no problem, we'll fight. I was like, I'm not fit, you know. I was drinking this time last week. I was drunk on whiskey, but yeah, okay, no problem. So I fought in Bangla Stadium, and I lost on points again. I thought it was one of them fights I thought I'd done enough to win, but one of them things I got used to it, so I lost on points. Then I fought a week and a half, just under 2 weeks later, I fought in Samui. I fought a guy called Petwin Chai, who's a really good fighter, probably one of the hardest kickers I've fought. I fought him, and I remember during the fight in the third round, the vision of my right eye just kind of went. It was like as if my eye couldn't focus. You know, my eyeball was like spinning around in its socket. Yeah. And I fought the full fight, and again they gave it to him on points. But that one especially, you know, when you asked me if it annoys me, that fight really annoyed me, because my arm was really sore after the fight. For like, even now it's still kind of deformed. You know, when I touch it, a certain bit of my elbow. Yeah. My arm was really sore. My eye, it turned out it actually broke my eye socket. I didn't even know in the third round, and my eye was really sore. So I was really sore after that fight, and you know, to kind of be told you lost when you thought you'd won. That video's on YouTube as well. I've watched it lots of times. I've showed it to other people, and everyone kind of says I've won. So that was quite a tough one to take. and then they asked me to fight again. I was actually meant to fight on Max Muay Thai. I think it was like 5 weeks after that fight, and so I went back and I was like, right, that gives me plenty of time to train with these injuries. So I couldn't train properly for a week. My arm was sore, my eye was still not right. And then once I did get back training, like a week or so after it, they turned around to us, they wanted to fight me the week after that. So in Samui again, and then this would have been 2.5 weeks before Max.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay. So then the day before the fight in Samui, they put the poster out, and I seen it was the guy Petwin Chai again, the guy I just fought. So I was like, oh, it's okay, it's not going to be an easy fight. And I was still sore from the fight. It was actually exactly 3 weeks before. So I went and fought him again. That was actually quite a funny story when the day I fought him. Because we were living in Krabi, you had to get a bus from Krabi to Surat Thani, a boat from Surat Thani to Samui, and then make your way from the pier in Samui to the stadium. That day I was meant to get picked up from the gym in the morning, and the bus was late. When the bus eventually took me to the bus station in Krabi, there was a problem with the big coach, so that was like 2-3 hours late. So I'm sitting in this old crappy bus station waiting for this bus. Eventually it comes. As we're driving to Surat Thani, just gets out of Krabi in the middle of nowhere, the bus broke down. So I'm sitting on a bus myself, and I'm like, oh, that's a nightmare. The bus was off, it was completely off, there was no aircon or anything. So we're like, shit, when you go out and sit outside, it's too hot in here. Go outside and it starts pissing or rain. So we had to go back inside this roasting hot bus and wait. And eventually this minibus came and picked us up, took us to the pier at Surat Thani. I was meant to be at the stadium at like 7 o'clock in the evening, and by this point it was like it must have been about 7 o'clock, and I was like, no way, I'm going to make this. But anyway, gets on the last boat, arrives in Samui. My Italian mate from the gym, Enrico, he was waiting for me on a motorbike. Jumped in the back of the motorbike, he took me to the stadium. Gets to the stadium, all other fighters were out on the truck. They take you out on the truck, showing you around Samui and that. So they were already out in that. I gets to the stadium, gets medical, had a shower, and then started wrapping my hands. I started wrapping my own hands because there was another guy from the gym there who was fighting the fight before me. So the guy Enrico, he was taking care of him.
Yeah.
And then it turned out the Petwin Chai, who had just fought, he came over to me and was like, oh, you want me to help you wrap your hands? So he comes over to me and I'm like, yeah, okay. So he starts wrapping my hands and we're just having a yap and that, and he's building up the tape on my knuckles and he's saying, do you want more tape on your knuckles? And I'm like, yeah, put a little bit more on. So he's building up these big bombs on my hands so I can fight him. So that was a bit surreal. And then I went into fight, and because I knew he was a hard kicker and I was meant to be fighting on Max 2.5 weeks later, I was like, right, I'm just going to go on my elbows and try and finish this early.
Thanks for wrapping my hands, but I am going to have to knock you out.
Yeah, that was the plan. So touched gloves at the start, I was like, right, sorry, wetting my elbows, and I ended up getting a bad cut. around 2 or around 3 I got a bad cut right across my forehead. Again, it went 5 rounds, and usual story, he won on points. And after the fight I got stitched up, and then I went out and got drunk in Samui. And the next day went back to Krabi, and when I got back to Krabi I started feeling dodgy, like my head, and that was not feeling right. Then my head became big, swollen, looked like an alien. So I was like, right, this is fucked, this is not right. So I had to go to hospital, and there wasn't any really good hospitals in Krabi. So me and my wife and my son jumped in a car and we drove from Krabi to Phuket, which is like a 2 hour drive or so. I drove there with one eye because I couldn't see out of one eye, and got there, and then they told me that the cut had got infected, so they had to actually operate and clean that wound out of my head and leave it open and keep cleaning it and that.
Yeah.
And they'd said that they x-rayed my skull and I'd had a broken eye socket from 3 weeks before. So the first fight I fought Petwin Chai, so I broke my eye socket, fought him again 3 weeks after, and then got that cut. And then I ended up in hospital for 8 nights, and then obviously I couldn't fight on Max after that, so I had to take about a month off of training. And then when I did get back to training, again trained for a week, and then fought again in Samui. I fought this guy, I beat him in the 4th round, and then that was the last fight I fought for Bull. I was meant to fight again on Max, and then it was the anniversary of the King's death, so that got cancelled.
That's right, because I was jumping up and down. I was like, Pete, I know it's the anniversary of the King's death, just because you already had your visas and your flights booked.
Yeah.
I was like, Pete, just stay an extra week. Just stay an extra week. So yeah, I do tend to remind you of that every so often, you know.
Yeah, I think it was annoying for me, you know. It was twice I was meant to fight on Max, you know. I was wanting to do that, but I guess what it is, you know. It's obviously wasn't meant to be. There's obviously still time, you know. If I come back out of Thailand, whatever, I could still do it, but I don't know. We'll wait and see what happens.
Now, mate, at present we are both in Chiang Mai, in Thailand at the moment. You're just travelling around for a month or two, but then you are going to be settling back into Aberdeen, Scotland. Things seem to be going well for you. You've got a lot of PTs. You're winning belts and shit. Ranked number 1 in Scotland, 4th in the UK. What does the future hold for Pete Scott?
I'm not too sure. You know, I always think you make plans. They never go to plan, do they? So, no, I'll wait and see. I've like you said, I moved back from being in Thailand for a few years last year, and this year I fought 3 times. Fought against the number 2, the weight above me, the number 1 at the weight below me, and the number 1 at my weight, and then I won the Scottish title as well. So yeah, it was a good year for me. Like I say, I'm working at Aberdeen Combat Centre. Loving doing that. You know, earning a living doing something you love. You know, that's what it's about, is it? So doing that, definitely I'll go back to Scotland, continue doing that. I've actually got a fight lined up in October. I'm fighting in Switzerland against a French guy, so I'm looking forward to that. I don't think I'm going to take a fight before October. You know, I think I'm just taking some time off. I actually went back training today the first time and got cut in training, so I've got another cut above my eyebrow. I was thinking whether to fight, you know, this trip in Thailand, but I don't think I will now. I'm just enjoying drinking Thai beer and finer things in life for now, you know.
Mate, just get another fight at Tapo or something. Just give him like a week's notice. You can still drink the beer.
We'll wait and see. Just now I'm a bit fat, so I have to get the weight down a little bit. But I don't know what the future holds. Definitely go back to Aberdeen, continue doing working at Aberdeen Combat Centre, and we've got a few really good fighters there. So also guys just up and comers coming through. So it's good to help in training them and watch them coming through as well. You know, I look forward to it. It wasn't until I actually started working there full time that actually sort of looked more into coaching and sort of enjoying that side of it. You know, like a lot of fighters when they retire, they take up coaching and that, and then you see them say they still get the buzz from it. And yeah, it's actually true. You know, once you're teaching someone something, especially if you've got a complete beginner coming through from nothing, and then you're developing them as a fighter, and watching them kind of grow and that, especially if they go and fight, you know, it's a brilliant buzz. So I think that's what the future holds. I don't know how long I'll fight for. I'll fight this year, and then we'll see about next year. I'll probably fight next year.
Of course you will.
Wait and see. I better not say too much in case my mum listens, and my wife, they would both want me to retire now. But certainly once you've got a son, you know, it's once you've got a kid, you can't keep going in and getting your face punched in forever, can you? You know, especially if you're getting bad injuries and getting cut all the time and having to take time off work or whatever. So we'll wait and see.
I think that's work. You hit the nail on the head there, man. Work's the main thing. Like, yeah, when you have a family and kids, people want to still fight and you can, but if it's gonna cause you to have time off work or like loss of income of wages or anything like that, then that's sort of what makes a lot of people think twice.
Yeah, that's it, exactly.
But Pete, you're a trainer, mate, so there's no excuses.
well, that's it. See when I first went back to Aberdeen end of last year, that was what my plan was. You know, I was like, right, I'm going back training at a gym. It'll be easy. You know, I'm constantly training people. It'll be easy. It'll be fit. Training people all day and sparring and clinching with them as well. You know, you're getting training yourself.
Yeah. So
fighting will be easy, but it's actually, you know, when you're training people all day, and then it comes to right, you have to train yourself. You know, it's tough going. Yeah. It's alright training yourself if you're just training and training other people, but then when you've got a fight and you're on a fight diet, you know, you start, especially everyone that last week, you know, everyone feels moody and miserable, and then when you've got these guys coming in, especially if it's if it's big heavy guys or beginners, you know, and sometimes they don't hit right, or whereas normally that's not a problem, you know, that's what they're there for, to do, you know, you're correcting them, you're helping them, which
Yeah.
I love doing. But then stuff like that starts, you know, like the last week of a fight or last week or so, it gets to, you know, when it wouldn't normally, and it shouldn't, but it does when you've got a fight. I think everything does, you know, even when your wife speaks to you or whatever, that can annoy you. So yeah, it's not easy, like you says, the work part, but I'll definitely be working in the Aberdeen Combat Centre and keep that up anyway.
Yeah, you seem to be pretty brutal on the pads. I was just laughing then because I remember someone put up a post about you, and it was like I couldn't for the life of me remember who it was, but basically they said like, oh God, I was thinking I was gonna have to get an Uber on the way home from training. I read that and I burst out laughing for a good couple of minutes there.
Yeah, and like I say, I love doing the training. You know, it's the more people that kind of get into the sport and that, it's brilliant for everything, the sport, and obviously myself making a living from doing it, and imagine to support my family. I'll keep doing it.
Absolutely, mate. Now, if people want to follow you, stay up to date with what's happening with you fight-wise, and your training and all that sort of stuff, have you got like a Facebook page or Instagram or anything like that where people can access it?
Yeah, they can add me on, they can follow me on Instagram. It's my name's Pete Scott on Instagram. Hurricane Pedro, that's my name on Instagram.
So it's Pete Scott, Hurricane Pedro?
Just Hurricane Pedro, but obviously
Pedro.
that's your, how's it in Instagram worked? I've only been on it for a little while, you know. My name's Pete Scott on it, but
your username?
Yeah, my username's Hurricane Pedro. So if they search in Hurricane Pedro, they'll find me there, and you know, post some stuff on that. Or on Facebook, Pete Scott. You know, they can add me or send me a message on that if they're wanting to get in touch with anything.
And mate, lastly but not least, anyone you wish to thank or give a shout out to?
Yeah, thanks to Chris Farman, who runs and owns Aberdeen Combat Centre, where I'm working and training fighting out of. If it wasn't for him, you know, a lot of the fighters there, we wouldn't have the facilities or get to do what we do, so thanks to him for that. Thank you to my mum for letting me fight and not making me stop. Thanks to my wife, Pa, and all the guys at Aberdeen Combat Centre. Nicola Harkins, who sorts me out with massages. She's like a sports injury and connective tissue, does massages and that. She is brilliant at massages. If ever I've got anything sore, I go and see her and she'll sort it out no matter what it is. She's her company's called Body Connect, and it's actually inside Aberdeen Combat Centre. So anyone in Aberdeen or anywhere in Scotland, if you're up that way, if you've got any injuries or problems with any part of your body, definitely go see Nicola. She's amazing. Like I said, thanks to all the fighters and guys at Aberdeen Combat Centre. Too much to name, but guys I train with pretty much every day, like Keith Middleton, who I've said who got me into Muay Thai. He does a lot for Combat Centre. He puts on all the shows. You know, he holds pads for everyone. He does a lot. So biggest thanks would be to Keith Middleton. Other fighters, there's Owen Tchaikovsky, he's one to look out for in the UK. He's fighting on the big Yukao show in October. He's a fighter to look out for. Train with him quite a lot. Alan Strachan, Gav Morrison, Jamie McRae, all them guys hold pads for me. Thanks to all them guys. I better say thanks to Nicky Adams as well, or he'll be sulking if I don't give him a mention. You met Nicky out here as well, so
yeah.
He used to be quite a good fighter as well, but now he's lazy and he's into weightlifting, so hopefully he snaps out of that and gets back training at some point.
You that Nicky, your best mate just said you're lazy. Oh, that's good, mate. Love the banter. Hey, just quickly before I go, what did you make? Speaking of the Yokao, what did you make of Liam Harrison versus Charlie Peters?
I haven't properly seen it yet. I watched like somebody went live, you know, one of the live Facebook feeds, and I watched that the other night. I watched it, and to be honest, I mean, I thought Charlie Peters won. Watching it, I think he shocked a lot of people. You know, like a lot of people were saying that he wasn't in Liam Harrison's league. Liam Harrison is. I love watching Liam. You know, he is the best fighter the UK's had. You know, he's amazing. I'll always love watching his fights. But you know, it's sometimes good to see the new guy come through. You know, see like the underdog, so to speak.
Yeah.
But and that makes things interesting. Plus, it means they'll get a rematch, so Liam will be gunning for that. But yeah, I think Charlie just edged it, you know. But that's my opinion.
Yeah, I've seen only the same footage that you have, and I got to admit I haven't seen the whole fight. I sort of just skimmed through it, so I'd have to sit down and have a look. But I think it's good for Muay Thai, and it's definitely good for the UK.
Yeah, definitely.
So Pete, it's been swell, mate. Thanks heaps for your time. Enjoy the rest of your trip in Thailand, man, and we'll talk soon.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you. Speak to you soon.
Cheers, brother.
Cheers, mate.